Hello students and young professionals. This lecture is intended to introduce to you the learning facilitation plan that I have been able to craft for the course Medical Entomology. This course is for students and young professionals. Remember that the course is a 3-credit hour one. I have chosen to structure this course into 7 modules that cover all the essential aspects of the field of medical entomology and its role in public health. Module 1, Introduction to Medical Entomology, is made up of 3 parts. The first part covers the definition and scope of medical entomology. During this part, we will explore the learning of medical entomology as a branch of entomology that focuses on arthropods of medical importance. We will also remember to explore the role of arthropods as vectors in the transmission of diseases to humans. Part 2 of Module 1 encompasses historical perspectives and significance of medical entomology in public health. During this part, we will explore some lessons on early discoveries in medical entomology, notable contributions of early scientists such as the discovery of malaria transmission by mosquitoes, and the role of medical entomology in global public health at the present time. Furthermore, we will do an overview of arthropods of medical importance. At this point, we will explore diverse insect categories such as mosquitoes, flies, fleas, as well as various arachnids such as ticks and mites as disease vectors. Then we will go right on to dutifully explore the topic public health significance of vector-borne diseases. The suggested reading material or text for Module 1 include a publication by Yakub et al. 2023, Foundation of Entomology, Academic Guru Publishing House. Just get hold of it and enjoy your journey towards becoming a practitioner in the field as a medical entomologist. I have divided Module 2, Arthropod Biology and Ecology, into 3 major parts, namely general biology of arthropods, life cycles and reproduction strategies, and ecology of vectors. Under the general biology of arthropods, we will delve into the basic anatomy and physiology of arthropods and classification of medically significant arthropods. Regarding life cycles and reproduction strategies, we will aim at knowing and gaining understanding of the developmental stages, namely egg, larva, pupa, and adults in disease vectors like mosquitoes, flies, etc. After that, we will delve into the reproduction strategies associated with arthropod vectors and their lifespan. To climax this module, we will turn our attention to the ecology of arthropod vectors of diseases. The first lesson to be tackled under this part of the module will be habitat selection with reference to indoor or outdoor habitats, water sources, and vegetation. Here, we will recognize, for example, that some arthropod vector species are endophilic, whereas others are exophilic. Another interesting aspect of this part of the module is termed behavioral ecology. Key aspect of this will be exploration of feeding habits, mating, and resting behavior of arthropod vectors that are of interest to the medical entomologist and or public health entomologist. During the last aspect of the last part of Module 2, you and I will delve into population dynamics, focusing on factors affecting the abundance and spread of vector species, including temperature, relative humidity, and resources. A key suggested reading for this module is titled Medical Entomology, an Overview. It was published by Birari by Charlie et al. 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, Module 3, Vector Biology and Disease Transmission, has been planned to capture two main topics, namely mechanisms of vector-borne disease transmission and important vector-borne diseases. Concerning the mechanisms of disease transmission, we will explore the biological mechanisms of transmission as seen in the case of the transmission of malaria, dengue, and yellow fever, where the pathogens develop or multiply in the vector, and the mechanical mechanisms of transmission as seen in the case of trachoma, where pathogens are carried on the external part of the vector. For the topic, important vector-borne diseases, we will delve into 1. Mosquito-borne diseases such as malaria, dengue, Zika, chikungunya, and yellow fever. 2. Fly-borne diseases like river blindness or onchocerciasis and trypanosomiasis, which is also called sleeping sickness. 3. Tick-borne diseases like the Lyme disease and rickettsial infections. 4. Flea-borne diseases like plague. And 5. Mite-borne diseases such as the scrub typhus. Two suggested readings are Goddard, 2022, Public Health Entomology, CRC Press, and a publication by Maru et al., 2020, Insect Pathology Textbook and Practical Manual, Scientific Publishers. Module 4, Epidemiology of Vector-borne Diseases, has been carefully planned to capture 3 important topics and some important case studies. The topics under consideration are 1. The epidemiological concept in the field of medical entomology. 2. Vector-borne disease surveillance and reporting. And 3. The role of climate and environment in vector distribution. The first, epidemiological concept in medical entomology will be facilitated in such a way that at the end of the day, you will know and understand vector-borne disease patterns in terms of their prevalence, incidence, and risk factors, as well as their modes of transmission, in addition to the role of vector species in disease outbreaks. Concerning disease surveillance and reporting, we will dutifully explore the various methods for monitoring vector populations and disease incidents, as well as the importance of early detection and response. We will then focus our attention on the role of climate and environment in vector distribution. At this point, we will study the impact of environmental factors such as temperature, rainfall, relative humidity, and human activities on vector habitats. You will also learn about the effects of climate change on the distribution and intensity of vector-borne diseases. To conclude this module, you will have the opportunity to explore some case studies, including malaria in sub-Saharan Africa, as well as dengue and Zika in tropical regions, with a focus on Ghana and other sub-Saharan African countries. And you should not forget that the suggested readings for this module will include a publication by Rivers and Dahlem, 2022. The title is The Science of Forensic Entomology. It was published by John Wiley and Sons. Module 5, Control and Prevention of Vector-Borne Diseases, covers so many critical areas. One of them is titled Integrated Vector Management, or IVM for short. This covers the key principles of IVM and its application in controlling vector populations. The next area of interest is titled Environmental Management and Habitat Control. Its scope includes strategies for reducing vector habitats such as drainage, waste management, as well as modification of breeding sites. This will then be followed by chemical and biological control strategies. Our exploration of chemical control strategy will encompass the use of insecticides with special reference to the types, application methodologies, in addition to insecticide resistance management. On the other hand, the lesson on the biological control will cover the use of natural predictors and pathogens of vector species, including fish-eating larvae and biological agents like Bacillus thuringiensis. After these, we will turn our attention to personal protection as a strategy for preventing vector-borne diseases. In this regard, we shall enjoy the exploration of the use of insecticide-treated bed nets, repellent, and protective clothing. Some key integral components of controlling and preventing vector-borne diseases are: 1. Public health interventions and policy. 2. Community engagement or participation. And 3. Education towards behavioral change communications, or BCCs for short. For the topic Public Health Interventions and Policy, we will meticulously delve into the function or role of national and international policies in vector control, in addition to vaccination and chemoprophylaxis strategies. For community participation and education, we will cover the strategies involved in engaging communities in prevention efforts and educating the public, including employees, families, and friends about vector-borne disease transmission and prevention. For this module, a suggested further reading material is a publication by Davy 2020 titled Entomology. Ladies and gentlemen, the last but one module is the module 6, which covers emerging issues in medical entomology. One of the things we will explore during this module will be emerging and re-emerging vector-borne diseases. Here, we will do everything we can afford to do to scrutinize new challenges and diseases such as Zika, chikungunya, and the resurgence of old diseases like malaria and yellow fever. We will also conduct an extensive literature review in terms of challenges in vector control with special focus on insecticide resistance and the mechanisms involved, the lack of effective vaccines in the system, and the reasons behind such a thing, plus the way forward. In addition to the various difficulties in controlling vector populations, another interesting lesson will center on the impact of globalization and climate change on vector-borne diseases, with a highlight on how global travel and climate change contribute to the spread of vector-borne diseases. Finally, we will enjoy an exploration of the topic advances in research and technology. This will include genetic modifications of vectors, such as the use of clustered, regularly interspersed short palindromic repeat or CRISPR technology for population suppression or disease resistance. As usual, suggested readings include Luke et al. 2023, Grand Challenges in Entomology, Priorities for Action in the Coming Decades, Insect Conservation and Diversity, Volume 16, issue number 2, page 173 to 189. Our noble students of this University of Excellence, we sure will do well to conclude this course, Medical Entomology, with Module 7, Case Studies and Practical Applications. What are some of the things that you should expect to enjoy in this last module? The first thing that you will enjoy will be the rewarding privilege of knowing, understanding, and gaining skills and experience in insectry or laboratory identification of key disease vector species. You will learn techniques for identifying and categorizing vector species in the laboratory. You will also be introduced to and therefore embark on field studies towards gaining insights and skills in terms of vector surveillance and data collection techniques. Here, some of the specific things you will appreciate are methods used in the field to track disease vector populations and disease incidents, such as larval collections and adult trapping. This will then be followed by a lesson on analysis of outbreaks and control strategies. At this point, you will have the opportunity to embark on some review of real-world outbreak cases and the strategies used to manage them. To conclude this module, you will enjoy the ongoing application of Geographic Information System, GIS, in vector mapping. Specifically, you will go to the extent of using GIS in mapping disease vector species distribution, analyzing outbreak patterns, and planning control measures for some specific epidemiological settings. The suggested reading for you is the publication by Maru et al. 2020. The course assessment strategies are 1. A middle semester examination and some quizzes will constitute 20% of the overall assessment. This examination and quizzes will cover important concepts in vector biology, vector-borne disease transmission, and epidemiology. 2. An end-of-semester examination or a final examination will form 60%. This exam will be focused on in-depth analysis of the existing skills, knowledge, and insight into vector-borne diseases, in addition to the current control strategies and the way forward, among other opposite things. 3. Practical fieldwork will form 10%. This will involve disease vector surveillance and identification activities. Number 4, which is the final one, research paper or project or coursework or presentation will form 10%. It will involve a mini research project work on a vector-borne disease and its impact on public health with a case study approach. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Daniel Hayford. May God bless you for being part of this lecture on the course facilitation plan. Bye.